Hey guys, welcome to a Fistful of Dice. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my Dungeon Master Adventure Binder. A lot of people have asked to see the contents of my binder, what I have in here, and what I use it for. So, you know, every Dungeon Master has a Dungeon Master binder in one form or another. You know, it might not be a binder, it might be a folder on their computer where they keep all their PDFs and supplements and stuff, or they might just have it kind of loose out with paper clips. I like to keep all my stuff organized in a binder, and my binder started out pretty small and it's gotten pretty big. So I like to roll in style. So I've got some pretty badass. This art is from Dungeon Crawl Classics. I've got that on the front. And I've got some more Dungeon Crawl Classics art on the back. I don't play DCC, but man, the art in it is so cool. I love that kind of retro 70s style art. I love that. And then Dungeon Master Johnny will recognize these. These are some fantasy themed patches. I thought that was pretty appropriate, Dungeon Master. That he had. I think he was planning on making a like a battle jacket, like a metal battle jacket with it. But I scored that stuff when he got out of D&D a little while ago. But he's back, so that's good. So I'm just going to open this up and show you guys what I got going on here. And there will be links in the description where you can either acquire or start to acquire everything in here. Some of it is free. Some of it is stuff that I bought. I've got some maps in here that I'm going to be using for tomorrow's Castles and Crusades session. And I've got some dividers for stuff, and then some stuff that's more recent. I don't have the written dividers, but I do have everything kind of divided out. So actually, let me stand up here so you guys can see what I got going on. So the first thing I have is the Paizo Game Master's Guide PDF, which has a lot of cool... This is from the Pathfinder Beginner Box. And I really like this stuff because it's kind of like... no frills, just kind of bare bones roll tables and encounter charts and stuff. So it's just a really good kind of reference, a really quick reference, or, if I'm trying to build kind of a really simple dungeon or adventure on the fly, there's a lot of good stuff here, and just very easy to reference, laid out very nicely. Paizo, say what you will about them, but they know how to lay out a book. So this has like object hardness and hit points, different traps, terrain, urban stuff, and then it's got magic item roll tables for loot, wands, scrolls, spells, potions, wondrous items, stuff like that. So that's a good, just kind of, I use that for reference a lot when I'm building a session or like kind of on the fly. Next up, I've got the Dungeon Master Johnny's Puzzle Creation System. Now, I'm not going to flip through this because this is something that you have to buy. But you can contact Dungeon Master Johnny if you're interested in getting this. It's a really great resource for rolling up random puzzles and riddles. Basically, the way it works is you've got a chart, and you roll on it a few times with a d20, I believe, and it creates some really awesome puzzles. So there'll be a link below where you can contact just Dungeon Master Johnny for this. I think it's like $6 or something like that, but yeah, I've used that quite a bit. Next up, we've got a bunch of Game Master Toolbox roll tables from the Game Mastery Guide that Paizo put out. I've recommended the Game Mastery Guide on several occasions. It is one of the, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best resources for a game master out there. Even if you're not running Pathfinder, the stuff in this book applies to everything. And all of this stuff in here is roll tables and references and appendices. So like a roll table for plots, a roll table for plot twists, for NPCs, quest items. It's got titles for people, NPC backgrounds and goals, physical characteristics, NPC secrets and occupations. This here is like 7 pages of random item generation, whether it be magic or mundane. Potions, wands, staves, spells. All kinds of great stuff. Let's flip through it here again. And then there's a dungeon toolbox for building dungeons, whether it be rooms, features, entrances, encounters. They have all kinds of encounter tables. And then they have encounters and features by terrain. So they'll have stuff you'll find in the terrain, weather, NPCs, possible items you might find, random kind of flotsam and jetsam you might come across here. For cities, here's a water type stuff. It's got stuff for boats, wilderness, stuff like that. And then I have the basic rules cheat sheet for Pathfinder back here as well. Next up, we have the Book of Challenges from D&D 3. This is a really great book. It's got a lot of different crazy encounters. A lot of this stuff can be run as is right out of the book, but whenever I'm looking to have something that's really head-scratching and will test my players' cognitive ability, I'll just kind of go through here and ransack ideas, grab some riddles, puzzles, encounters, stuff like that. So, and it's also got just general advice on building an encounter, building a puzzle, really making your players think without making them frustrated. So that's another good resource. I don't use that too often, but like I said, whenever I'm looking for something that's really head scratching, I'll kind of go through there and pilfer some ideas. Next up, we have the Appendices from Dungeon Crawl Classics. In the back of the DCC book, they've got lots of cool tables for curses and languages and scrolls and stuff, and they also have stuff about game mastering back here. Inspirational research, reading. Here's one on poisons. Here's a random name table, which comes in very, very handy. And then titles, table of titles, so that's really cool. Like I said, I don't play DCC, but it's a great, has a lot of good resources in it. Next up, we have the Dungeon Alphabet, which may be my very, very, very favorite thing in this binder. The Dungeon Alphabet is badass. Basically what it is it is a document where it has features for any sort of dungeon that you want to build. So, and it goes through it alphabetically. So A is for altars, and then it has a roll table for making an altar. So you can have like you roll on a d20 and you get a black basalt altar with chains attached for securing sacrificial victims, and it restores all cast spells or prayers. You know, so you just roll a d20 3 times and you get a crazy altar. Or like B is for books, B is for battles, and this is one of my most used charts right here. This is stuff that will happen during an encounter, and it has things like the flagstones beneath their feet give way, or a brazier is knocked over, setting alight in flammable objects. All kinds of cool stuff to roll when an encounter is getting kind of stale. So it just goes through here, all kinds of fantasy stuff. T is for treasure chests. U is for undead. You see, so it just kind of goes through, and it also has some pretty bitchin' art. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That's pretty badass. So, love that. Love, love, love it. Next up, I've got Sly Flourish's stuff. I've got both his Dungeon Master tips and his Lazy Dungeon Master. This I don't use so much for reference, so much as I use it for inspiration. Dungeon Master tips is good. Lazy Dungeon Master is probably the best thing I've ever read, and has probably affected my dungeon mastering the most. If you are somebody that finds yourself over-prepping or having to put too much work into your game, I would highly recommend picking this PDF up and reading through it. You can read through it in a matter of a couple hours, and it is great. It will basically lay out for you the best way to get most bang for your buck. It's not about working less, it's about working smarter. So it's taking a lot of the frustration and painstaking labor out of prep work and running a session, and just kind of keeping it simple and fun with a focus on fluidity and ease of play. It really makes it so that if you're finding yourself really not enjoying your sessions anymore, read the Lazy Dungeon Master. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And then in the very back here, we've got some user-created stuff. I've got PhD&D's immersion tables, which are fantastic. You can get them on PhD&D's website. I'll have a link below in the description. And it basically has different tables for immersions. So it's got a table for foliage, different trees. It's got a table for taverns and like the dishes at the tavern. It's got a thing for books, and then male and female names, including surnames. So stuff like that is always very, very helpful. And then back here I've got a couple of things of my own. I've got a Fistful of Dice's Easy NPC Maker and a Fistful of Dice's one-page D&D adventure. You know, I'll just use these sometimes as reference. You know, I created them for my own use, but I think other people have gotten some use out of them too. Both of these are available for free on the Fistful of Dice website. And then at the very back here, I've got 650 fantasy city encounter seeds and plots, and that's just all kinds of plot hooks. And this is just kind of, you know, I might grab one out of here and have it be kind of a backup plot hook in a city, or I might, you know, pilfer some ideas if I'm having some trouble with inspiration. So now I've got all this stuff in here, but how do I use it? There's a lot of paper in here. There's a lot of documents. How do I know what to flip to and what to use? Well, that's where, let me get back to the beginning here. That's where I have these little tabs out on the side for. So prior to running a session, I will go through and put little paper tabs where I think I'm going to need to reference stuff. So, for instance, tomorrow I'm going to be running a Castles and Crusades session. And stuff I know I'm going to need to use potentially, I've got a tab here for the NPC goals. I've got a tab here for an underwater ruin encounter chart, because my girlfriend, I'm running a one-on-one session, she might be potentially going into an underwater ruin dungeon. I've got city locations, because she may be going to a city. I've got the water toolbox, so undiscovered islands and pieces of interesting flotsam stuff that might wash up on the shore. I've got types of weather, and I've got an encounter table for the beach and / coast. So this is all stuff that I think I might potentially be using tomorrow for the session, because like I said about my GMing style, you know, I don't plan out an ending necessarily. What I'll do is I'll plan out the situation or the setup, have potential plot hooks, and then the NPCs and stuff for them to interact with, and really it's up to the players about what plot hooks they're going to pursue and where they're going to go. So in the case where, you know, my improvisation might be faltering a little bit, I'll just kind of flip through here and use this stuff. So, and it really doesn't eat up much time, and you know, you just flip through and make a couple rolls and you're good to go. So anyway, guys, that is my Dungeon Master Adventure Binder. This thing is my tome. This is my spell book right here. This is how I plan my sessions and run my sessions. So if you don't have something like this, I highly recommend putting something together with your favorite resources, your favorite PDFs and roll charts and all that kind of stuff that's going to help you run the best game you can run. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. Again, you can find the links to all of the items that I described in the description box below. Other than that, that's going to be it from me. Take care and happy gaming all.